We're on the Newtown Creek on the Brooklyn side, which is the south side of the creek. We're on the northern border of North Brooklyn. We're in the community of Greenpoint, and we're on the northern edge of the Newtown Creek water pollution plant that processes all wastewater in Lower Manhattan, Mid-Manhattan, and Williamsburg, Greenpoint, and Long Island City. So it's being upgraded to process 600 million gallons a day. The upgrade of the project began in the late 80s. Because it's a city project, 0.5% of the budget has to be devoted to art. And with a budget of over $3 billion, is a considerable amount of money to be used for art. In some cases, architects and communities put up a tapestry in the lobby or a sculpture out front. In other cases like this particularly, much more innovative programs are created. The idea was to have artists either work with fencing, landscaping, and lighting. When I was brought on the project, I know Newtown Creek because I've navigated it in my little boat for years, and I knew the site. And I did not propose anything relative to what they were demanding of artists. I proposed that a waterside park be created for the employees of the plant. In contrast to the use of the plant, I thought it would be totally possible to make a waterfront park to really take up full advantage of what exists here. The plant does not use Newtown Creek or Whale Creek as an outfall, so this whole edge is kind of benign. And I'm also very sensitive to the fact that it's tax dollars that actually fund the project, so I'm very careful to kind of integrate local historical elements as well as public awareness to an existing conditions in the past. So in this particular case, shipbuilding particularly, as well as barrel making. Part of the design had to do with Jim Polchek really wanted, or the Polchek partnership, they wanted a really unique vocabulary of everything, particularly fencing and lighting, and just a kind of unique character to this thing. The community just totally cheered the proposal. They really saw that this plan, and in its upgrade, would also include a huge public amenity, which is public access to the water.
And that's going to be a natural edge with granite stepping down to the water, back over that way. Between the bulkhead here you see on the left and the Perez site. That will be a natural, we're actually working on it right now, creating the structure and the bulkheading, so we can actually stage granite going up the shoreline, respecting that the shoreline has been broken down and is almost becoming a new natural edge. And it'll actually be like a natural shoreline. It won't be bulkheading going vertically down into the water. It will slope up with granite slabs. The tide will actually enter that inlet. It will wash, and people will be away from the water. And if that can happen, that's really the beginning for me of respecting the water and not just creating these vertical walls with railings above it, as we see in Battery Park City.
The community loved the idea, cheered the proposal. Some elements that are really inspired by them, some of the handholds that go down the steps into the creek, which I designed as water molecules. The handles are actually a large ball, which is hydrogen, and two smaller balls, which is oxygen. And they really like that detail set. The park was initially planned to be accessible. It was for the employees. Well, as soon as they heard that, they say, wait a minute, we also want access. Well, to find access to this plant, the only place to really find access is at the east end of Page Avenue. The ultimate solution was to come in at that point, rise up over the plant. We walk through that vessel shape. It's 740 feet to get from that gate to the water. So I really wanted to make it interesting. I wanted to make it varied. I also wanted to try and include local history. That particular element, that when you're in Greenpoint, buried, on the north side of Brooklyn, when you're in the vessel, you turn around and look west, right on line with the Empire State Building. It totally locates you in the city. And so it kind of involves a sense of identity of being in Greenpoint, or at the same time being within the context of the city. Most parks don't really have views of industry. That's not the point of the park, but in this particular case, that's one of the assets of this particular place, is that you really get a feel of the local community, both residential, as well as commercial. I think there's always a little bit of adventure and surprise every time somebody comes here. You know, I just expect people to come here and not to be looking for art. Most of my work, they said, you know, when are you going to bring the art in? It's basically about public access to a unique place and to create a sense of adventure in the process of getting here. This, you know, for most people, it's an adventure of local site. It's also the context to a water treatment plant is an important part of it. Wow, there's a water treatment plant with a nature walk. Doesn't make sense. So there are multiple kind of interpretations, both on the high end for people who really want to interpret, but also on the low end for people who just want to go to the water and fish and have no interest in understanding design or whatever. It's a place that's natural, feels good, and for people to get away from the humdrum, and it's kind of the function of a park, an urban park.